Yo, welcome to video 4, where we're going to be talking about the evolution of purpose through self-development. I want to introduce self-development as one of the necessary stepping stones to finding a purpose. And I also will present this idea as self-development really being a natural path to bringing one closer to their purpose. Because as one develops, they gain a deeper sense of self, which then leads them to see how they can fit themselves into society in a way that will serve people, bringing them closer to meaning and purpose. So we will be going over various models of development, such as Carl Jung's individuation and Abraham Maslow's self-actualization, while also including Ken Wilber's integral theory that was going to really shape it all together. So what I want to clarify here, what I want people to understand when it comes to self-development is that self-development is a key transformative experience. It's something that when I started it, I didn't know it was really going to change my life in the way that it did. And it's funny because the name says self-development. You're developing yourself. And this is past what the common understanding of growth is, because people will often think that once they graduate from school, they've made it. Now it's time to just get a job and accomplish their dreams, accomplish their goals. But when it comes to self-development, the process is never ending. One always has the opportunity to reach one's potential. That's the driving force behind self-development, or at least that was the case for me. So when I discovered something like psychological models that explain how the psyche actually can develop itself through certain stages, through certain structures, in a way that would help the person gain larger understandings of the universe. When I realized that this was a thing, then I saw the way to my self-actualization, to the actualization of my fullest potential. And exploring that and diving deep into that, I was able to develop myself, develop my different intelligences. And in pursuing that, I was able to find a way to build myself up, to become more resilient, to become more competent, and then finally being able to discover my purpose. So now I want to go over the different models. The first model I'm going to go over is Carl Jung's individuation theory. Carl Jung's individuation theory was really a byproduct of his understanding of the dynamics between the conscious and the unconscious. Carl Jung really pushed for the harmonization of the self, as a lot of people who go through different mental disorders can really be going through a split in the self, a disharmony within the self. What Carl Jung proposed was individuation, which is the act of making one's unconscious conscious, of becoming a whole individual. And this really spoke to me because what Carl Jung proposed was a way for a human being to be authentic while also not denying aspects of himself, because it is too common to see people push aspects of themselves away to be able to fit some kind of narrative or get some kind of validation. But Carl Jung was saying that the path was really through harmonization, through looking at the things that the person is most uncomfortable with and integrating those aspects to himself. And there were a few things that Carl Jung mentioned, which was the disconnect from the herd, where the person escapes the herd mentality and goes out on his own. He is an independent thinker. And that is a part of the individuation process. What I see here is that in order for a person to break away from the herd, they need to find an internal guiding mechanism, something that they can believe in, that they have faith in, and that they trust. And that thing is the soul. I found my soul to be the thing that would guide me away from the common cheap herb mentality. And that's what led me closer to my purpose. So Carl Jung's model is really something that you should be looking into, especially if you're interested in the soul and the archetypes and all things related to the unconscious. Carl Jung's theory will be a big part of this course, so look forward to that. The next model that I want to talk about is a model that is really just something that needs to be talked about whenever discussing anything related to self development. Maslow's hierarchy of needs has just been used in various different aspects, various industries, from business to relationships to psychology. The way Abraham Maslow presents his model is really just makes sense. It works. It's simple and it speaks volumes to the evolution of the individual because he goes from physiological needs to emotional to mental and then to spiritual. And there have been many correlations between this and other various models. And the first one that popped up to me was the chakra system, as even the body itself can be seen as falling under the different areas of the pyramid. And something that I really want to bring to your attention is the idea that purpose doesn't really come into play until one gets past the physiological needs and the emotional needs and more so goes into the esteem or self-actualization stages. This is when the person have now achieved their basic psychological physiological needs and can focus on finding their purpose and actualizing their full potential. So just imagine how many people are really at that level of self actualization. Even getting to that point of self actualization is a huge goal for many people. So that's something that I want to point out, which is really essential to this understanding. Because if you look at this hierarchy of needs and you know that you're not in the self actualization stage and you're still maybe working on a sense of belonging, then maybe your purpose isn't going to be some deep spiritual unique thing, but you can make your purpose filling your needs, your emotional needs, for example, or the needs of the specific stage that you're in, and then that will naturally lead you higher and higher up the ladder, while also bringing more meaning to your life. So this is powerful because just simply understanding where you are in the hierarchy of needs, and this can switch. This isn't something fixed. Sometimes people can be struggling with physiological needs, while other people, well, the next day they have, ate the food that they needed to eat, they're feeling better, and now they can think a lot more deeply and think about their life at a philosophical level. It's not about where you're at and kind of labeling yourself a specific thing. It's more about understanding where you might be and exploring that aspect of yourself so that you can naturally get closer and closer to your potential. And this approach that I'm talking about, where you're thinking about your purpose and then comparing that to where you fall under these different models, is something that I'm going to emphasize a lot when it comes to self-development. Because self-development, the models presented by self-development, by psychology, are psychoactive. Just you understanding the different models, the different levels will help you get closer to finding your purpose, because then you are guided to develop yourself through these models, and it becomes a process that gets sped up. And now that we clarified that, I also want to mention something very interesting that I have recently discovered, but I have also used in the past, and that is the idea of multiple intelligences. Because a lot of people might push away the idea that purpose exists for them because they don't feel intelligent enough. They don't feel capable enough of even achieving a purpose. So, what I want to highlight is in understanding that there can be multiple intelligences, and we can be strong in specific ones while also being weak in others. And your intelligence can differ to other people's intelligence, and that's okay because we each have our own strengths, because we are all unique individuals. And the reason I point this out is because if you understand that there are multiple intelligences, such as emotional intelligence or cognitive intelligence, you can have a comparison of who you were before you began looking for your purpose and who you are after you start developing yourself. Because once you see how the intelligence can grow and improve, you will see how you can then use that intelligence to better equip yourself for achieving your purpose. So, all of this is a constant feedback loop between you and developing yourself. And at first, you will just make developing yourself your purpose, right? And that will give you drive, that will bring transformation. But then, once that transformation happens, you now have access to deeper reservoirs of intelligence, and you can use those transformations, those improvements to go out into the world and achieve an even deeper purpose. It's internal work that also can be seen as a closed system where you put in the work and then the work comes back to you, and then you can use that work that and that improvement that you went through to go out and work from a higher point of leverage. So I'm going to list out some of the intelligences that have been presented by Ken Wilber. He presents cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, moral intelligence, interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. So they're going to be cognitive intelligence, which focuses on problem solving, logical reasoning, and abstract thinking. Emotional intelligence, which deals with managing and using emotions effectively. Moral intelligence, which deals with developing ethical standards and a sense of right and wrong. Interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence, which is related to enhancing communication and deep self-understanding. And then there's spiritual intelligence, which is accessing and integrating higher states of consciousness. So understanding these intelligences will help you see maybe why school wasn't one of your strong suits. But that doesn't mean that you can't find your purpose, because there are other things that can be explored, other things that can be developed. And those strengths are a part of your purpose, because those are gifts that you have, tendencies that you carry that you can better operate from. And now you have a deeper understanding of how you can serve people in a deeper way. So, speaking on these capabilities, I kind of already mentioned it, but I want to say that when we're talking about emotional intelligence or creativity or even effective communication in relationship to interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence, when we were discussing these things, these were the main things that I thought about during my journey to finding my purpose or actualizing my purpose. Because when I found out that there was something called emotional intelligence, and that intelligence isn't fixed, and that we can develop that, and that can improve our lives, when I discovered that, then I made it my goal to improve my emotional intelligence, and that became my purpose for some time. And it led to a huge transformation in my life, which allowed me to connect to people in a way that I wasn't able to. And also, this was the same for creativity. When I wanted to learn about how I can become more creative, I realized that creativity isn't something that is fixed. It is also something that can be developed. And going into and diving into that, trying to develop my creativity, understanding what it means, what it looks like, that also led to a transformation. And then effective communication was another goal of mine. I wanted to become a better communicator, especially when it came to conflicts. How can I express myself in a way that I am understanding the person, I have compassion for the person I'm talking to, but I also have them understand where I'm coming from and get to a place where we both understand each other and we can both agree on something. I made that my purpose for some time, and I put in the work, and I got to a place that was satisfactory. And now I know how to operate from that state. When we're thinking about these things, the emotional intelligence, the creativity, and effective communication, well, all of those things are what built this course. Understanding my emotional intelligence, understanding where people are coming from, understanding how I can use my story, my experiences, my own struggles as a way to help others. That's a part of emotional intelligence. While also my creativity was a big part of how I structured this course, while also effective communication, having the confidence in that was also what gave me the confidence to speak on camera. So here you see a clear example of how, although I didn't know that this was what I was going to be doing, shooting videos through YouTube, I knew that it was important that I built these and developed these different intelligences. And then it so happened that I was able to put these things together and create something like a course on helping men find their spiritual purpose. So that's a big example that I want to highlight. Like, go through these different intelligences, make it a focus to develop them, and then keep on doing that. And then you will change as an individual. You will see the world differently. You understand yourself at a deeper level. And you will also be able to serve people at a higher level. And that's the magic of self development. As you do the inner work, the natural byproduct is evolution. This is one of the best ways that you can evolve and grow as an individual. This isn't something that is taught in schools, and it needs to be taught in schools because most of the time, most institutions are only highlighting a small percentage or a small portion of all the intelligence that are available to all of humankind. So as you evolve across these lines, you gain a greater clarity about yourself and your purpose comes to you. And this is kind of akin to the phenomenon of emergence within complex systems theory. This might seem like you're going to be all over the place, going to different intelligences and attacking those individually. Well, that's not really the case because you are a whole being. So when you touch one aspect of your life, when you focus on one specific intelligence, there can be ripple effects where that will also enhance your other intelligences. And so you get this natural byproduct of having one intelligence your focus or one specific structure of development your focus. But in doing so, it leads to you being able to, in the future, access these other intelligences much more easily. And that is just the lines of development. I will be looking also more deeply into Ken Wilber's stages of development, and that will also play a big role in you finding your purpose. So that will be found in phase 1 of the course. So make sure to join the course. The link will be down below for you to join the community, join the course, and begin to start working on yourself in a way that is not available anywhere else. Right now, I am working on releasing more content as we speak in the community. So I want you to stay tuned, sign up. But anyways, that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video where we're going to go into accessing the higher self for finding your purpose.